Hey guys, it's Jessica. So it's Monday, 8:40 in the morning on the 20th. Kevin's had his birthday. Things are going off everywhere. That's what I wanted to get. I wanted to get the iPad. I will be right back. Alright guys, I'm back. I love that pause function. It's great. It is snowing. I can sound any out there. So there are a lot of things I want to talk about. First of all, men suck. But I don't want to talk about that. I'm just saying it. Get it out of the way. Second, I kind of want to break into the whole comedy thing. I think I'd be good at that. I'd probably have to be stoned out of my mind being good at it, but I think maybe not. Maybe. Okay. I don't remember. So I'm watching a lot of New World Order stuff, and a lot of people talk politics. Like so many people, you guys. Alright. First of all, this is just adorable. Oh, look at your babies. Look at your babies. And second, oh, is it gonna go clear? Not gonna go clear. Alright, well, it's bad up there. It's family day. I don't have a family, so it really sucks. My version of comedy is not gonna be very good, people. It's not gonna be very good. Like, I'm just gonna start getting mad. And you guys are probably gonna roar. But it's not gonna be any good. Like, okay. There's a little black thing. Hi, little black thing. Get. This is the wrong day to do this video. It's the wrong time. So, I'm gonna start working with Kevin. But we're broken up. And this whole New World Order stuff, it does connect with the whole men suck thing because men are ruling the world and they suck at it. But like I'm seeing things like Jesuits and CIA, and I was just wondering when common sense stopped mattering. Like, oh, alright, I'm gonna do some research and come back. So I'm looking at the population and square kilometers and all this shit. They make some points about the density being like the density of New York. If we all the people piled into New Zealand, I think it was New Zealand. Give me a second here. New Zealand. Oh, Netherlands. New Zealand. If we all packed onto there, there's no way. If it's down here, there's no way. There's no way. No. Oh, it's not by any particular order. Okay. Well, if we all packed into New Zealand, or like, certainly if we packed into Greenland, based on that, the density wouldn't even be as bad as it is in New York. It's the percentages of which we are growing by the year that are concerning. And how many of these, New Zealand is 268,680 square kilometers. So yes, that's relatively logical. There's quite a bit of land everywhere. So I mean, we have 510 million square kilometers of world, I guess. Not all of that's livable, mind you, but we have it. I think if we packed into New Zealand, it's the kind of environment. I don't know. I don't know who based this on what, but like, there's a point to be made there. But there's also a point to be made with how much we're tearing down trees for farmland and how much, farmers are switching from farmers to business. And there's something to be said for what we're going to run out of, given the way that we work. If all of us became like Nevada and we were, where there's more sun, we could cut the pollution by half. I mean, you can't tell me. There's no way. Sure, those aren't like the most densely, but India, and tell me India couldn't do it. Anyway, whatever. This isn't very funny shit. But what is funny is that democracy. Why aren't people just like voting for a leader, having that leader spit out ideas, having everyone vote on it once a week or once a month over the 4-year terms, and changing things like that, like simply yes or no kind of things, and working it down from there. I mean, there's got to be a way to make this simpler, where we can do by region, and we can do like Canada in of itself is so huge. Like, let's see, as for overpopulated, because that's the way it's going down, right? We are 38, just under Iraq and Poland, and just above again Morocco, Afghanistan, Peru, and Saudi Arabia. Not in that order. We have quite a bit of land to our ratio. 9.9 million square kilometers to 36 million people. So, certainly livable. Not as much opportunity for solar power, though. It's the batteries. I'm sure that's what it is. It's the batteries. Shelf life of them, of the electricity, of the power. Sure it is. And there's cars in of themselves. But I mean, I've heard so many stories where things are run on water and things are run on like weed oil. And it can't be impossible, right? Whether or not people really want that, I guess. I think Canada should. I don't know. Aim towards change. There's so much I have to do, people. But I'm going to get into this whole man theory that I have. You see, we've been ruled by men for a long, 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 long time, and I think in order for equality's sake, there would have to be a short period in which women really just took over to organize the whole thing. Not every little detail, not prolonged, just the main categories of everything going on with a gigantic population. In order for equality's sake, just a period. Like, between 2 to 4 terms of political significance. Hi, little black thing. This is Dexter. He's the little black thing. He's got a little white spot on his chest. He's really cute. See? It's really cute. He doesn't like me right now. But he'll live. Look, you're on camera. Look at that handsome boy. Look at that handsome boy. Oh, you're so cute. Oh. So, water. It's good for you. Except it might cause Alzheimer's. There's so much information in the world. Okay, I just know that things have been repeating themselves. I don't know exactly all the ideas people have come up with. I don't know all the exact ways. Start a revolution that's not going to be completely impossible. Goes too far into the chaos or goes too far towards inequality. I have no problem with there being factions. I guess I just don't know that I love it. If democracy is about balancing the lines between fascism and socialism and communism and this and the other thing, then maybe there's a possibility that this right side, left side thing isn't working. We need something relatively unifying that makes sense for the individual. Like, if I feel that a politician is supposed to be very unifying and centraled. That it's not supposed to be about church and state and business and state. It's not supposed to be about which side are you on. It's supposed to be, these are the things that are associated with this, and these are the things associated with this. Like business. Business is always going to be more. It's going to be more about the individual. It's the one who owns it, the products that it sells to the people who buy it. That it's always going to be more about the individual, whereas welfare and charity and all of these things, I mean, they work together. There has to be a way. I think having representatives like on the two different sides is great, but I don't think that we should have a leader that is just one. I don't think that makes sense anymore. I think we should vote for a leader. The leader should come up with ideas. People within Parliament are supposed to represent and take care of the specifics for their provinces, obviously. And also members, where it does become more complicated and more crowded, members who are implementing these things. Say the Prime Minister came up with an idea to regulate a lot of noise everywhere. To regulate education for high schoolers, or rather, maybe not even regulate, but completely change it where it becomes more active and involved in jobs and apprenticeships and so on and so forth, where a little bit of free education or free opportunity to meet the right people within your area who can get you started or notice you for whatever particular reason. Things like that. It would just be a yes or no, and when it became a no, there would be statistics. There would be polls, there would be reasons as to why, and then it could be readdressed next week as like more isolated votes within provinces and territories and so on and so forth. But then if it was a yes, like the majority of Canadians all wanted this change where high schoolers became more active in becoming a part of careers and productive members of society and so on and so forth, then we would have the other side that is going about making this a reality, how everybody thinks it should be handled in particulars, like in particular provinces and states and so on. It can work. I don't see why it can't. Where I think the whole equality or inequality thing comes from with me is I think it should switch every term. It should be boy or girl, or vote for whoever's the best candidate. That's fine too. I mean, really, there's no specifics with that, but I just don't see it working where men dominate. It's not even specifics. It's not even women dominate specific things. Women dominate the home. That's it. The fashion industry is as much about men as it is women. And, there's things like that you would think, for sure, we do influence famous, the way things work with famous people, but then everything about what is being sold to us via products and so on, it's all male dominated, and that needs to stop. If I had to say what the perfect ratio is for what women want and what men want and what women are capable of and what men are capable of, there should at least be a quarter of women in all of these things. I don't see there being a problem with that being legislation if you do not have enough women, unless it's something very specific like sports. This is male sports and this is women's sports. That's fine by me, but you don't do that with business because everybody has a stake in sex. Everybody has a stake in who gets to be famous. Everybody has a stake in products that matter. So it's things like the fact that we can have tampon commercials and all of this. Men don't want to get involved in that, but we can be sold things that we actually physically need. In order to make your lives easier. Like, it just, I don't know. To me, that is a part of healthcare. It's not, but, I'm weird. I don't even think that clothes need to be sold at expensive prices. I don't understand that. Buying into somebody's name is one thing, but I don't think that should ever be allowed to get into a conglomerate of people who are making decisions outside of the original person who came up with these concepts. And it should be fair. It needs to be fair. It needs to be regulated. If people are making these shirts for you, they should be getting paid relatively well. Well, fair. I don't know. It's hard to say what the worth of a concept is, but I think women would do a really good job of just cleaning up where the categories are and being fair about it from a perspective of completely unaggressive very much for change and the major issues, but being able to account for the multitasking it requires to get the normal financial, physical, difficult stuff over with and consider everybody's feelings on these subjects and what should and should not be. I don't think there'd be a problem with that. 2 to 4 terms, 4-year terms, 8 to 16 years. Just so that we can feel like we're heard. It's been thousands of years. It's been thousands of billions and billions of cases of just terrible, terrible treatment. And I don't think it should keep going. There are certain aspects people are never going to want taken away from them, and I don't think people understand that that's the reason why the world needs to be different and yet united. There needs to be the options. There needs to be a middle ground, or like a chunk that makes not domineering influence, but it makes sense for the majority of people to come back to. As far as general governments and foreign policy and all of this stuff, everything that we're kind of aiming on but missing with a lot of people or a lot of things. These little factions and countries, it could all be cleaned up and still remain, I don't know, a lifestyle, if you want to call it free. I gotta think that a lot of people are on this track. How far along they are as far as being prepared for the next 50 years. How far, they are as willing to go to implement them. Just look at the numbers, and it's hard to see. Hard to see what the worth is. Or where the pressure points are, or where the specific buttons are to press. I have a few ideas though, and hopefully we're all working together to some point, to some extent or another. Alright, as always guys, much love.